The Super Mario Galaxy 2 Minimum Jump Challenge was a project I worked on not too long ago. It was a project made to form an answer to the question, how many jumps does it take to beat Super Mario Galaxy 2? But after answering that question, there still seemed to be some areas left untouched on our journey. This being the remaining 172 stars. We've already gotten 71 stars in our last video, and the number can only go up from here. If you don't want to be spoiled yet, I highly recommend watching the first video linked below. In case you do need a little bit of a refresher though, the rules for this challenge are as follows. A jump is counted when Mario or Luigi lift themselves off the ground using their feet. So if their feet are not grounded and they're still able to gain height, we will not add a point. The only thing I do count as a jump if we aren't grounded is Yoshi's dismount move. Other than that, we are mostly focusing on ground jumps and wall jumps. Now with all that out of the way, we can resume our challenge, starting at the easier stars that I'd rather not mention because they require no jumps and are extremely easy. Dig-a-Leg Daredevil, Spring into the Chompworks Cosmic Clones, Tall Trunk Purple Coins, the Chimps Coin Challenge, both Mario Squared Galaxy's stars were watered down SMG1 Luigi's Purple Coins, both Rolling Coaster Galaxy stars, both Twisting Trial Galaxy stars, both Stone Cyclone stars, Lava Lair Speedrun even though this Meteor Ground Pound was really cool, and Boom Bunker Daredevil Run. This means there are 35 stars remaining for us to collect. I'm also removing one jump because if we were to play the game as a 100% run instead of an any percent run, we would remove 2 jumps from Spin Dig and Sky Station Galaxy, and add a jump for this Comet Medal and Fluffy Bluff Galaxy. Now that we have our counter at 22 jumps, we can start getting stars from World 1, starting with Fiery Flotilla Speedrun. This first star wasn't actually too bad. We had to fight Gobblegut for a second time, but we did have a problem after defeating the boss. You see, we can't grab this star yet since it's just above our heads. If only we can somehow gain height without needing to jump. Remember back in the first level, that planet we used the crystal to get to? Could we maybe use that same trick here? Yeah, we definitely can't. Not with Mario at least. Thankfully, we aren't limited to just Mario now. Since we've already completed the game once, we can use Luigi as many times as we want. This means we can use Luigi to climb up these crystals and do an advanced trick known as crystal floating. There are certain objects in this game that can allow you to reverse your gravity. This is just one of the examples, but I was still unable to get the star. Turns out you could just slide off the crystal into the star with 0 jumps. The next star we got was in Puzzle Plink Galaxy. This required some careful movements, but one of the main stops in this level was this giant wall. Normally we would wall jump to get through this, but I have a better idea. Once again, much like the last star, under certain requirements you can gain extra height. In this case we have the camera angle. In certain areas of this game, we're able to perform a side flip that reaches greater distances than a normal side flip can by just simply holding the direction on your control stick perpendicular to the direction your side flip is facing. This allows us to get on top of this wall with 1 jump. Now for the boss fight against the Mandibug Stack. This looks extremely intimidating, especially since the arena is flat with nothing to jump on. But maybe this arena is too flat. No, the fact that the edges aren't flat allows us to take advantage of these gravity pulls more effectively than normal, and since we're able to use these, we can travel farther distances to defeat the boss in 1 jump. Our next stars were located in Honeybloom Galaxy, and since this galaxy is almost exclusively 2D, we don't have much freedom with our movements. But with the help of backwards momentum, we can get past the first wall with ease. The second wall, however, is a bit intimidating. We can still climb it like we did the first wall, but since it's quite far away and much higher, it looks hopeless. But this may be possible if we farm up star bits by falling off the edge after getting a few. If you throw a star bit at a Goomba, it'll act like a weak spin, and we can use this to our advantage by continuously using star bits to move Goombas to wherever we want. Now that we have 2 Goombas, we can do an extremely precise bounce on the Goomba we brought over to this area to reach this small gap that we can use to raise another Goomba that we can bounce on to reach the next area with 0 jumps. Unfortunately, we do have to jump right after, but at least we saved one jump. The rest of this level isn't too difficult since we get the bee mushroom. For the second star in this galaxy, I don't really have much to say about it. The star has us wall jump multiple times to reach the star area, and to grab the star we'll need to slide off this slope. It's not too difficult, but it does require 5 jumps. Wall jumping is also slightly optimized because of joystick movement. If you turn your stick towards the wall you most recently jumped from after you already jumped, you will lose all your momentum. After using a spin, you can get all your momentum back and wall jump again at the highest height. Now on to Cosmic Cove Galaxy. This first star is terrible. There's a trick you can do similar to shore launching, where you can use NPCs or enemies to launch yourself towards a certain angle. Unfortunately, this is really difficult to do with enemies since in most cases, you'll end up defeating them. I was not able to do this, so I had to try the next best thing. I brought a bunch of skeeters over to this waterfall, and after I had lined them up, I would go towards the button that freezes the water. After that, I would bounce on the skeeters and wall jump up the wall to just barely reach the top area in 4 jumps. The star grab was simple. The second star for this galaxy wasn't the worst, but it does require 3 jumps at the start of the level. One thing that troubled me, however, was this pipe all the way on the other side of this platform. We were unable to bounce on top of it, but thankfully, I have another trick up my sleeve that we were able to use. Earlier, I said a jump counts when we are grounded, but that doesn't exactly account for when we hop out of water. By shaking the Wiimote, you can do a jump out of the water, but it would seem like we are limited to that small jump. But if we were to enter the water while crouching, we can perform a water jump. This jump uses the stored button press that releases when you shake your Wiimote just on the threshold of being able to do a normal spin. The rest of this level was super easy, 3 jumps. Next on our list was the Shadow Lining in Cloudy Court Galaxy. This level is one that is quite interesting, mostly from the fact that this is the level that unlocks Purple Coin Prankster Comets for us. Sadly, there's not much for us here to do. We have to wall jump 6 times and grab the star. But at least now that we have purple coin spawning, we can get some stars pretty much for free. The first purple coin star was in Flipsville Galaxy. It started off normal. We had to do some simple spins to reach farther flip panels, and of course do a little bit of damage boosting. A problem arose once we reached these 2 blue panels. I didn't know how to get past this, since the electrical walls were too far. But apparently before I got into that section, I slid on this blue panel, allowing me to store momentum that I would release once I grabbed onto the wall of the panel. The star grab was also pretty cool, 0 jumps. Our next purple coin star was in Puzzle Plank Galaxy, and it was actually quite easy. I damage boosted to get to higher areas, and I used player 2 to grab the remaining coins I would be missing. 0 jumps. Flipsville Galaxy's purple coins can be collected the same way. Starshine Beach was way too easy, Clockwork Ruins was actually kinda cool, and Sweet Mystery Galaxy gives us Yoshi. This means none of the purple coin stars require any jumps. Now for Rolling Masterpiece Galaxy. 2 jumps were needed to hop out of these pits, and we can save a jump by bouncing on this Goomba. The boss battle was really easy, all we had to do was push this chain chomp off the map. The speedrun comment is pretty much the same thing, but the Goomba bounce didn't happen because it's really hard to do. Now we're on to Supermassive Galaxy. Both Wiggler stars here can be completed in 2 jumps, one from this coin and another for this launch star. We also saved a jump from sliding off this sign. Our next stop was at Flipsville Galaxy. The first star had some pretty cool skips, one being this toad bounce that we can use to skip an entire planet. After that, we had to stand on the edge of this fence to get on this platform. The rest of this level was simple, but the boss fight did take 3 jumps. The second star was short, but required 1 jump to get into this pipe. Next up was Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet speedrun. This level requires us to be fast, and the fastest way I know how to do this level is by once again breaking gravity by launching Luigi off of this lava to the halfway point of the map. After that, we can backtrack a bit and phase through the corner of this wall on this 2D section to swim all the way up to this top area. After that, we can ground pound and spin our way to the star with 0 jumps. This is one of my favorite stars, I can't lie. Now for Squizzard's Sandy Sinkhole. The first part had us jump, of course, but at least we can save 1 jump by using the boost you get from running on the sand. The second section wasn't too difficult since we can barely reach these boxes with a spin, and the boss fight was extremely easy. The star grab required us to use the jankiness of this rock to get on top of it, and then get a belly slide off the back that can help us reach the star in 2 jumps. There's also a daredevil run that doesn't require any jumps. For sailing the sandy seas, we only had to jump once at the beginning and get a precise spin to grab the star. It's not that difficult of a star. Next up is Grandmaster Galaxy, and for this star we need to get across these lava planets by using the B button on these pool stars. Once again, you can use the A button or the B button on these, but the A button makes you jump before you use the pool star. After that, we can grab this life mushroom and bounce on a nearby Octoomba to reach this area with 4 health. After that, we can refill our health and find ourselves at this final area. This may look intimidating with all these small planets trying to interrupt our gravity, but this is actually not a bad thing. By doing 1 backflip, we're able to reach a planet far away from our starting point. After that, we can use a magma to lava boost even further, and then use another magma to get this comet medal. Now with 3 damage boosts left, we can use 1 to get to the crystal the star is contained in, break it, and grab the star with 1 jump. The second star brings us to this area with the rock mushroom, and as you could have guessed, we do have to jump here. Thankfully, we were able to lower the amount of jumps needed by 3 because of a trick I like to call boulder hopping. If you shake your Wiimote and press A at the same time, you'll be able to get mid-air jumps so long as you get the timing correct. And since mid-air jumps don't count towards our score, only the initial jump counts for us, bringing this star to 1 jump. Our next stop was Clockwork Ruins Galaxy. The last star we needed for this galaxy started out normal. The troubling section came around at the end when we needed to long jump around this wall to reach these 2 wheels. To get onto the first wheel, we needed to lift Luigi off this edge and ground pound to stop him from sliding. After that, we can spin to get inside this crevice. From there, we can spin out of the crevice and onto this small area we can just barely walk on. After the wheel begins to spin again, we can spin onto its side and belly slide towards the part we are able to grab onto. After that, we can climb up the rest of the wheel and finish the level in 1 jump. There is also another star in Battle Belt Galaxy that can be completed in 0 jumps since this crystal is close to the star. Now for Galaxy Generator's Speedrun Comet. This speedrun is actually not that hard, you only need to jump once in this 2D section and the rest can be completed without any problems. Now for World S. A lot of these levels are actually pretty simple. One of the only problem galaxies here is Boss Blitz Galaxy. None of the bosses need jumps to complete, even Major Burrows doesn't need jumps, and that's definitely the most difficult one here. I did say this was a problem galaxy though, but the only problem here is getting this comet medal in 1 jump. Now for our final stop, Flip Out Galaxy. This is similar to Flip Swap Galaxy, where you'll need a spin in order to get through various obstacles in the stage. Thankfully, we do have the ability to mega side flip in multiple areas in this stage, but unfortunately, we have to mega side flip more times than I'd like. 2 of these are on the second planet, which brought us to this crystal we were able to float on. After that, we had to jump a few more times, and we had to do an interesting trick that, as far as I know, is only useful in this galaxy. You see these spikes? Well, they're much different from normal damage objects. This is because they have the same collision as grounded objects, and since the spikes shoot upwards at a high speed, you can perform a jump while it's activated to gain an incredible amount of height. After that, we'll need to bounce on these 3 spoings to get enough wall jump height to reach the comet medal. After that, we can do another spike jump and finish off the level with 11 jumps. Now with every star claimed, we will need to complete Bowser's final battle once again to unlock the green stars. This costs 5 jumps. Now that we're at 85 jumps and have collected all 120 stars in the game, we are now able to collect the green stars. These stars are scattered all over the place and a ton of them are actually very easy to collect. The easiest ones that do not require jumps are from the galaxies Sky Station, Yoshi Star, Fluffy Bluff, one of these was really cool to get, Right Side Down, Hightail Falls, Wild Glide, Bowser's Lava Lair, Tall Trunk, Freezy Flake, Fearsome Fleet, Sweet Mystery, Honey Hop, Gravity Gauntlet, Space Storm, Shiverburn, Upside Dizzy, Fleet Glide, Boom Bunger, Flash Black, Slimy Spring, Mario Squared, Twisty Trials, and Boss Blitz. This leaves us with a total of 65 stars left to collect. The first green star in Spin Dig Galaxy had us bounce on this Luma using the spin drill. After getting enough distance from bouncing on his head, we can reach some railing that we can walk across to reach the star with 1 jump. The second star has us bounce on a Goomba, and the third star has us damage boost twice with cosmic clones to reach the star with 1 side flip. The first green star for Flip-Swap Galaxy requires no jumps, but is just barely possible by bouncing on 3 Goombas, and the second star requires a crystal float from very far away. This is one of the coolest looking crystal floats, by the way. Bowser Jr.'s Fiery Flotilla shows us an interesting move where we can freeze a Goomba in midair after a Magikoopa spawns one in at the peak height of a thwomp. The rest of this galaxy was simple. All the stars in Puzzle Plank Galaxy required 1 jump. Star 1 was a backflip, and both 2 and 3 were a mega side flip. The third green star has a really cool end screen though. All the stars in Boulder Bowl Galaxy were easy enough to get, but the first star does require 1 jump to reach the top of this bridge. Cosmic Cove Galaxy showed us this waterfall once again, which made us jump 4 times. The next 2 stars were located close together and both took 3 jumps. Honeybloom Galaxy's stars were easy to get, but required 1 jump each. Cloudy Court Galaxy required us to use the Cloud Flower to gain enough height and distance to grab its stars. Green Star 1 and 2 needed 1 jump, while Star 3 needed 2. Haunty Halls Galaxy needed 2 jumps for its stars since they put them up so high. Rolling Masterpiece Galaxy was normal, and that's not a good thing. 4 jumps altogether. Our next stars were in Beat Block Galaxy, and once again, this galaxy is one of my favorites. Something I did learn about this galaxy is that certain enemies only show up while a certain color of block is activated, and one of these enemies just so happens to be the Astro Goomba, which can be moved freely without needing to worry about damage. This specific area with the Astro Goomba also has the perfect distance for spinning, so we can bring this Goomba over to the first star with ease. Now all we have to do is wait for the Goomba to spawn in so we can bounce on it 3 times and grab the star with 0 jumps. The second star in this galaxy is much easier than the first star. Supermassive Galaxy was next, and since we already know how to minimize our jumps, we can once again complete the rest of the galaxy with 5 jumps. Flipsville Galaxy was almost put in as too easy, but these stars were actually really cool to grab. Stars 1 and 3 don't require any jumps and are claimed by falling off the backside of a ledge. Star 2 needed 1 jump by doing a backflip and sliding on this roof. This wasn't too hard, but it looks pretty cool. Now for Starshine Beach. I originally thought we'd have trouble with this galaxy, but I forgot we have access to Yoshi, which can allow us to snipe the stars out of the air. The third star does not contain Yoshi, however, so we will have to jump 2 times with boosted cloud backflips. Chompworks Galaxy was next. 1 star gave us the Spring Mushroom, another star had us gain flip panel momentum, and the last one gave us absolutely nothing to work with. Now for Slip Sand Galaxy. These are pretty much all the same. You get 2 of these on the slide and 1 below a sandfall. 2 jumps were needed for all 3. Our next stop was at Melty Monster Galaxy. I thought this was originally a level that was going to be difficult. I don't know why, since both stars 1 and 2 were extremely easy to grab, and star 3 needed us to jump twice with the Rock Mushroom. Clockwork Ruins green stars were also not very difficult. Star 1 needed 1 jump, star 2 needed 0 jumps, and star 3 had us go to the end of the level, which needed 1 jump. Throwback Galaxy's stars were also not too difficult, most could be collected normally, but the third star needed a boosted long jump. Battle Belt Galaxy was up next, and all 3 stars were the exact same. The only difference here is that the first star doesn't need a jump, because we can bounce on these Goomba heads to gain just enough height. The other 2 require 1 jump. Bowser's Galaxy Reactor stars were once again not that hard, 1 jump. Now for our final world. The first galaxy we have is Rolling Coaster Galaxy, and the second star is easy enough to get, but the first star does take 1 jump. Our next stop was Stone Cyclone Galaxy, and for these stars we have to get a little creative. These are both in the air, and it doesn't look like we would be able to collect them easily, but we do have these Tox boxes around that might be able to help us. Distance-wise, we have a solution, but height-wise, just see for yourself. This is kind of specific, I feel like. Oh, we got it! What? 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 Now for our last stop. Flip Out Galaxy. The first star needs us to wall jump once, but the second star has us go to the end of the level, resulting in 9 jumps. With 145 jumps and 240 stars, it may seem like we've completed the game, but we still have 1 more galaxy. Grandmaster Galaxy. The first star in this galaxy starts out easy. You use Yoshi to get through a Klingflower section, and then you have to leave him at the Cloudflower area. This section seems impossible almost right away. We have these electrical walls that'll immediately remove our power-up once we get hit. But since there's multiple cloud flowers around the area, we may be able to use this to our advantage. If we use a cloud while moving to the left, we can use a second cloud once we fall off the initial cloud. After making this cloud, we'll gain height and stay in the air for a while because of the electricity walls. We can now use backwards momentum by using the clouds as stepping stones that'll refill our spin. Now we can rinse and repeat to get to the next section that has no way of giving us any more health. Since we have no health, it seems like we're gonna have to be very cautious because there's a lot of enemies that shoot out lasers. It seems we've reached quite the stop since there's no way we can get past this area without taking any damage. So I guess I should check how far I can make it without being hit since we still have some clouds on our side. I decided to go under the flip panels so it can scoop me up later, but while I was under these flip panels, I noticed something interesting. These pulse beam enemies have a certain amount of range horizontally where they are able to activate from. This is indicated with this gray circle. However, there is also an invisible vertical range which is much shorter, and since the enemy will stop being activated after you are out of range, you can keep the enemy deactivated for pretty much as long as you'd like. This next section is not difficult at all. You can skip the only hard section using this pull star. The final part of this level had some hammer bros and floating platforms. This part was one of the easier areas of this level, so we could spawn in the star very easily. Now we can bounce on one of the boomerangs flying back to grab the star with 0 jumps. But even with the ultimate test completed, we still have one more star to complete before we can truly say we're done with this challenge. For our 242nd star of the game, we have the perfect run. This level is the same as the previous one, but with a twist. We only have 1 health throughout the entire level. This means if we get hit a single time, it's over. The first section is the same as the first star, no jumps here. But the second area with all the electric walls are going to of course be where we need to stop and think. We can't take damage on these walls to get past here anymore, and we definitely can't go over the walls, so we may have to jump here since we do need these clouds. Do we need these clouds? In this game, you cannot use Yoshi and have the cloud flower at the same time. But what if we were able to get across this section by avoiding the flowers and using Yoshi? Of course, this would be ideal, but we do not have much movement while infinite fluttering with Yoshi. So this may be more difficult than it seems. After a while, you'll lose all your momentum and have no way of regaining it. But in this case, that doesn't affect us when you're descending forward. So my plan was to navigate through the area by facing forward with Yoshi and using his infinite flutter. This isn't the hardest thing to set up, but it is something we'll need to be very cautious about since messing up is not an option. So after moving up and down with the infinite flutter, we can find our way to the final cloud flower that we can collect to reach the pulse beam area once again. Every area after this can be completed the same way as we did before to bring us to our final planet. The final star of this series can be completed in 0 jumps. So, how many jumps in total does it take to 100% complete Super Mario Galaxy 2? It takes a grand total of 145 jumps. I hope you enjoyed this series as much as I did. We've grown so much since the start of this challenge. I honestly never thought things like crystal floating and momentum storage would even exist, but here we are. Anyways, I hope you liked the video, and yeah, that's all I got.